You have to hope, or else what do? I mean, sure, everybody wants hope. Like, you hope for this and you hope for that, and like, I guess natural.
Hope is about possibilities for right now, for later, for tomorrow, living every moment, every day, every hour with everything that's around you.
When things are really rough medically, I think, okay, if it's this bad now, it's going to change. It's going to get better. And I just keep going on from day to day. You take one day at a time.
There is always hope for each day. Each new day always has potential. Though you may not always see or feel it, there are always possibilities for experiencing and living with hope. Hope is something that we all cling to. It's not a word easily defined, but we all can relate to it. When there are trials, pain, and suffering, we look to hope to see us through. And hope is not that everything will turn out okay, but that it will be okay, no matter how it turns out.
It's rough. I'm not afraid of dying, so even at the worst times, I could rationalize it and think, okay, well, I've had a good life so far, and it's just going to be shorter than I wanted.
What sustains Mom's hope the most is that Dad still gets better. She has a really difficult time just hoping that he'll get from day to day. I think she wishes for a lot more.
The best hope we had was the hope that there was treatments that could offer her longer than the stated lifetime and a better life than what we would get otherwise.
Sometimes in a diagnosis there's three phases of hope. The first, the hope of a cure. The next phase is the hope of, well, I hope this treatment gives me lots of time. And the third phase is sometimes that this illness can't be cured and that whatever time I have is comfortable and pain-free.
Hope for someone with a terminal illness is quite different. There is that idea that life is going to be abbreviated in some way. And then there comes the question, what do I really want to do in the time that I have ahead of me? And the hope becomes quite specific then, not just a general anticipated taking for granted of life.
The possibility of being able to take trips to the store to buy whatever great special is on right now, that is part of hope for her. That each day it's helpful if there is something to look forward to in the day.
Hope makes a big difference in palliative care clients. They have a reason for living. They know there is a reason for them being here. That it helps them to cope with their symptoms. It helps them to cope with their diagnosis. It helps them to realize that they have some time in which to do the things that they've always wanted to do.
We had a lady the other day that wanted to go to the fun factory with her grandchildren. And so it meant that we just measured one of our big chairs with wheels on it and phoned the fun factory to make sure the chair would fit through the door. And for her, that's all she wanted to do that day. And so it was such an easy thing to do, and yet for her it meant her goal was accomplished that day.
We all have the need to hope, no matter what the situation is. For people with terminal illnesses, they are able to deal better with the pain, loss of independence, and loss of relationships by maintaining hope.
We did have some laughs in that 3 months. I mean, once he was diagnosed, he decided he was not wasting one more minute to shave. And he worked out, he was an accountant, he worked out how many minutes he'd wasted in his life shaving. And he never shaved again. And we had a lot of laughs over that.
When we think about hope, we would like people to not only take what comes to them, but to be able to think of ways that they can actually foster hope and build hope and have the experience of hope for themselves.
Hoping is a way of taking charge of your life. We all control our own thoughts and actions, and hope is a state of mind. It does not mean that there is a cure within reach or that things will turn out well, but there is the acceptance that life is still good, regardless of how things may turn out. The first step is admitting there's been a change.
The first step for a patient or family to develop hope is really acknowledgement of what they're up against and be able to reflect and to connect with what is there to be known and who's there to get support from.
I think the more facts that people know, the better they can handle the situation, the more they can cope with the situation.
First and foremost is the recognition of where you are and what are your expectations for the future. If you can define them, either as a patient or the family, or as a team members, as a caregivers, collectively define that, then I think you can at least plan what it is and what you want. Then the hope could improve.
Hope makes it possible to live with the difficulty and uncertainty. Hope also requires making the choice to see possibilities.
I think with me, if I can see a path from where we're at to where we'd rather be, it's easy to have hope. It's when you can't see from where you are to where you'd rather be that you have trouble having hope.
Yeah, that's true. And when Galen loses hope, that affects me.
And vice versa.
When you don't know, you often feel scared. And fear is usually related to lack of information or not knowing, which in turn makes them feel less in control. And that's where hope has to jump into the middle and where we have to work to help them define hope. People say, oh, I don't have any hope. Well, maybe it's just that it's been bruised and they're not really hopeless, but they've got to figure out what is their hope now. What are they looking for? What are the opportunities? What are the choices, the new choices they have to make?
Instead of looking down the road so far, look at the end of today, perhaps tomorrow, perhaps next week, but acknowledging that the long-term goals that you've probably have set prior to this illness have to be adjusted, and learning to do that.
I explained to Dad that it was okay for him if he couldn't golf 9 holes, if he could only golf 2 and then come home, and then later on in the day go and do another 2, that was okay, but he didn't have to stop living. And he's adjusted that way, and now he doesn't care. He said, I go do what I can. That's what he tells everyone. I just do what I can. And he hasn't stopped living at all.
Hope has a rhythm of ups and downs. There will always be circumstances that threaten hope, like pain, isolation, poor communication, and the condition of a person's health. And there will always be things that enhance hope, like faith and caring relationships.
The support we had from neighbors and friends and relatives, knowing that people actually care.
Like yesterday we were at the mall, met a few people, oh, you're looking so good from the last time I saw you. Your color's back, your hair grew back, and all this sort of thing, which makes you kind of feel good.
I'm glad that my brother is coming, and I'm glad that my neighbors come, and my twin brother, and that helps a lot.
Everyone has hope at the center. In every person that I meet, there's a certain core of their spirit that there is a hope there that just can never be put out. Sometimes it is in their religion and in their journey of faith. Other times it may be in a story of journeying with someone else who has had difficulties. Sometimes it might be in their absolute love of nature, the beauty of a sunset, the trust of a friend, and it's always there.
All those special things that the person chooses to identify as their hope things become hope objects and hope memories and hope stories for the people in the family. And the family legacy continues on.
The other day, Dad was showing the kids a picture of when he was Shirley Temple in a variety show. And it was just absolutely hilarious. He had these big, long, blonde braids and a short little white dress. And he was singing Good Ship Lollipop. It was just hilarious. And I think that it's those kind of things that, you know, are helping him through the day and giving him the hope to carry on.
Probably the most critical factor for a patient around hope is having family members surrounding them who can be on the same page as they are, and vice versa. So often we will meet with families, the team, the doctor, nurse, social worker, and pastor, and a close friend or two. But how can we help them all to be on the same page? And to the extent that they can be able to share worries and hopes and questions and answers to questions, there is something about that that really helps greatly.
For better or worse, we're in this together. I think that second pair of eyes and ears when you're dealing with the medical system is a valuable thing. Everybody needs someone else to talk to and to help them get through things.
I try to impress on families and individuals that we can't do anything to cure this illness, that's true, but we can do a lot to comfort. We can encourage them to participate in physical care. That produces hope, to know that they can do something in this moment for their loved one. Even providing gentle massage of the hand, I think, helps them to have hope.
Home care workers are fantastic here. I've just been really impressed with the focus on building a relationship with Pauline that it's been nurtured. Pauline told me that she had gotten a shirt from her home care worker, and it's the one she wears all the time, and it's just wonderful.
Having caring connections to people, to memories, to nature and faith, and to symbols of hope can not only give comfort, but also provide strength for the tougher times. To walk with hope is not always easy. It's a way of living that requires practice.
We can encourage patients and families to squeeze every drop of enjoyment out of the things that they can enjoy, to look for the things that they can do and not the things that they can't do.
Find those little things, even within their treatment plan, that perhaps you can look at in a positive light. What's the next day is going to bring, and the next day might not look all that wonderful to the patient if it's tests again or things. But again, finding out as much as you can for the patient about that test, giving them the honest information, again, working on that relationship and saying, you know, that's not going to be a very pleasant thing for you, but you know it's going to be over within a couple of hours, and then we can move on to something else.
If you have a positive attitude, you're going to be thinking about possibilities. And when you're thinking about possibilities, that's hope.
At times when you're going through a rough patch, you just have to slug it out and get through to a better time. And with all of this, I've found that there always is a better time.
Build a support system for yourself. Twin brother. Try to involve as many members of the family as possible. Share the actual care. Try to gauge what can be done that day that will feed a sense of hope for the future.
Getting going with little things. Hope isn't about great, huge things. It's about things right now. So what would we like to do today? What music? When you start making choices and possibilities, what music might we listen to today? Will we look out the window and see whatever is going on outside? Little things. Making hope deliberate and realizing that hope is what you decide on in your house that day, with whom, about what.
You can have hope knowing that you're living with a life-threatening illness.
If you're still well enough to do things, just keep on normally. You know, you just can't give up.
There can always be hope. Be open to possibilities. Teach yourself to appreciate every moment. Practice turning off your mind and learn to relax. Set short-term goals that can be achieved. Nurture your inner resources with influences that help you to feel good, like music, laughter, and good company. Surround yourself with friends and family that are supportive, and keep communicating. Living with hope is a choice that each of us can make. At times, maintaining hope can be hard work, but you'll develop ways to practice hope to keep it alive and growing, even when things don't turn out quite as planned. Start by doing what is necessary each day, then what is possible. And each new day, you will find yourself living with hope.
Live each day. Live each day to the best you can. Make the most of it. If you can go for the tiniest walk, and we couldn't go very far, do it. Whatever you can do, live it to the most today.
Hope will surface, even if you think you don't have it. You have lived it, and it doesn't go away because of a diagnosis of terminal illness. People don't become someone else at that time. They are still the person that they have been, and they need to be treated that way.
It's really important that we live with hope because the research does tell us that it does make a difference. People who are hopeful live longer, have much less pain than people who don't choose hope. It does make a difference.